Hey everyone, welcome to the Mind High podcast. This is Ali. Thank you for joining us today. In today's podcast, I'm joined by Shaz and Hasban, and we discuss the gun problem our country is currently facing. This conversation has been sparked again, unfortunately, due to another mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were gunned down in a high school, which is just insanely terrifying. But we feel like we're in this conversation again after another mass shooting. We as a country / society has this conversation on a larger scale, but we feel like nothing changes until another mass shooting occurs, and then we find ourselves here again having the same conversation that we were having a few months ago. As depressing as this may be, this one kind of feels a little bit different because high school kids are speaking out. So hopefully some change does come out of this, because it's just hard to see more of these happening again and again in the future. So we try to tackle this issue with no resolution in sight. It's a difficult problem to solve because it has so many nuance and perspectives to go along with it. So we didn't come up with the solution, but we try to talk about the problem objectively as much as we can. So let's just jump right into it and see where this takes us. But yeah, we've been off for a while, so we didn't get a chance to talk about that Parkland shooting
in Florida.
Yeah, so I think if we're gonna start off today, we should kind of start off from there and then kind of venture off, because I know I have a lot to say on quite a few things that's in regards to that, and we didn't get a chance to talk much as a group since we've been kind of away, so I think it'll be a good place to start.
Cool.
But,
let's do it though.
Unfortunately, yeah, like there was another mass shooting where another 17 innocent kids. It's not all 17 kids, but I think there was 1 or 2 adults that died in there too. 2 teachers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 kids and 2 teachers, I think. And now this has sparked another gun debate in our country. And I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's not an easy solution. I mean, obviously the easy solution is let's prevent any future death from happening again. And so the first solution that is to take away guns. But once you dive into that and the whole reason is there, and how different government structure systems have been put in place in the past and how they've collapsed, having guns is kind of an important rule to have in play, I guess, if you factor society as a whole. That makes any sense?
Yeah, we're supposed to have a militia according to the Second Amendment, where
yeah, it's like only 2 sentences. I think it talks about something for the militia, but then it gives the people the right to bear arms. I think that's
basically the people have a right. I think that basically that Radio Lab podcast that I was talking about,
the
one that they released, I forgot what it's called, but it just came out. But that's what they were talking about, that the way it's written is even weird.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation. It's very vague, and I guess it's for a reason. So that's why it causes, some people can say, okay, that only means it's related to muskets or whatever for the guns at that time. So with that, our gun laws also have to evolve over time. Back then, they didn't have machine guns, because when they were thinking the right to bear arms, they didn't know that they would be saying, human beings would have these weapons of war that can, kill people at such a vast rate and make it so easy to kill them.
Well, I think everyone agrees that a gun is for self-defense. So the whole point of having a gun for any reason is either for sport or for self-defense.
And also, I would say to keep the government in check as well, right? Because I mean,
that's actually the third reason. So if you ever needed a revolt to happen, you could have a gun, which I think is pretty important. I think people take that part lightly and they say, oh, if the government was going to go after you, then you wouldn't be able to stop them. Yeah, but you'd still be able to shoot 1 or 2 people. You'd still be a
Yeah.
threat, you know? You wouldn't be able to take over the government, but if
Yeah.
somebody was oppressing you, you could at least fight back a little bit.
Yeah, I think the founding fathers had it. I mean, they know if they didn't have guns, for themselves, they would not. It would have been a lot harder for them to start a revolution and fight back against the British. So I guess while they were writing it, that's kind of what was in the back of their mind too. Like,
Yeah,
guns.
there's like context behind that amendment.
Yeah. So with that being said, like it's a definitely complicated situation, especially with all the. It's pretty sensitive, right, to so many people, different sides or both sides. You can say, but I think this one is definitely a lot different than all the other mass shootings, unfortunately, because the way the students are speaking out, it is, you can see that there's something different about this one. The way that one is covered in the media. I mean, these kids are giving more time on air. So I was just reading an article today that bunch of advertisers are pulling their plug on NRA. A lot of big people. I guess when Hasban come back, there was a huge bunch of list of people that are pulling their ads or partnership or some sort of donation.
Yeah, I think I read like Delta Airlines did it and somebody else did it too.
Yeah, a few airline companies, so like so NRA is going to take a big hit because they're the ones that are looking bad, and no advertising company or marketing, not even a marketing company, no company in general that advertises, they want to cut their ties with NRA because they don't want, because soon as people that are going, it's just a smart strategic point of view from the business perspective, right? You don't want to be associated with something that has a negative stigma or backlash against it, whatever. So like, a lot of these companies are pulling it, so then that's going to put pressure on NRA. Now they're not getting their money, and then how they organize and how they got to rebuttal, and how they fund.
Yeah, I think this is like, it's nowadays people are pretty like united against this. Or I feel like both sides want change right now.
Yeah.
Usually what happens is just like one side shouts and then the other side's like, no, it's not a big deal. But even conservatives nowadays are kind of giving in that there has to be something
Some sort
done.
of change.
I don't really know. I mean, yeah, you could have gun control and you could have better, like they said that the FBI knew about him and shit.
Yeah.
They're like, why didn't the FBI do anything?
Yeah.
Maybe they did try to do something. They're like, well, this is just some crazy kid saying shit. Like maybe the chances there's like 100 kids like that, and only one does something. They can't just lock them up before they do something either.
But
they can scare them, I guess.
No, they never forwarded the case to the Miami field office. So they that
okay,
that
so they
part
didn't.
never
Okay,
happened,
so they didn't really check up on him at all.
No, they never acted on that information that was provided to them. So there was 1 or 2 people that had called and shared their comments from YouTube, and I think that what the FBI director was saying, the protocol from there would be that they would forward that information to the field office for that
like
district,
local people to go and check it out.
Yeah, which I don't think that happened. I could be wrong, but that's the last time when I heard about it in the news, that's what they were saying. So they failed on that, which is kind of fucked up. And the one that they do fuck up on happens to be the one where the guy actually turns out to be a killer, because there are so many, I'm sure people, I mean, there are a lot of nuts online that I've even seen where these gun nuts kids are, acting stupid and just for views or trying to go viral or whatnot. But some of that is scary, man. You can't do that anymore.
I think there was something in Houston that like happened last year where this couple, they like Snapchat themselves with an Uzi, just driving on the street and just firing it randomly.
Shit.
And they got put in jail this year. They were just like literally just driving on the street and just shooting an Uzi on the fucking outside the side of their car.
Damn.
And they just went to jail actually. Yeah, but it's just crazy. I mean, not everybody should have a gun, and a gun is a fucking dangerous thing to have. It's not like a tool like a knife, for example, a knife is good to carry because you might have to cut something randomly.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of cases and utility.
Cooking. It's
cooking,
a multi-purpose where a gun only serves one purpose, and that's killing.
Yeah, like for example, something could get stuck on you or something, and you just want to cut it off, or it could be any weird. I can't think of a good example.
I disagree there. Anything that has the purpose, if it can be purpose to kill, should be. I mean, my thing is, even if someone gets a gun, there'll just be less killings. Is that a good point to have? Obviously, they shouldn't have automatics with these huge magazines. So,
yeah, I mean, like anything could be used to kill people, right? A car, a hammer. But like to his point, that specific device is meant to kill people. So I mean, yeah, if people argue that if you ban guns, what's next? Do we ban knives? And the answer is no, you don't ban knives. Because like to your point, knives have other purposes. But if we lived in a utopia, the right answer would be to ban guns, but we don't live in a utopia. No matter what we say or what we do, we can never achieve it. Therefore, we should have guns, and the people should have the right to defend themselves. And because like, if someone enters your house, and I think about it a lot, like someone broke into my house, and I'm with my wife and kid, and I'm not a gun owner, and for the longest time, I always thought about guns should be straight up. We should adapt like the UK policies where they don't have any guns at all in their country. It's all banned, and they have different type of violence, but they don't have mass shootings like the ones like that we have here. But I mean they're still in what's that called? They started off from a monarchy, and then they've evolved where the kings have given back, or the royal family has given back power to the people.
So now they're a democracy.
Yeah. But because of that, that's why they don't have the gun law. So I guess it was easier for them to fall into it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas America was a mixing pot when it started. We have so many diverse cultures. We have more. Our problems are more complex than any other part of the world. I would assume.
We're also a larger country than most people we get compared to.
Yeah.
Just by sheer volume, like land mass or even population size. I feel like that doesn't get brought up as much. But when you're in Europe, you're going state to state. It's like going from Colorado to California.
Correct. Yeah.
But the U.S. is fucking huge. We have so much land.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to compare. But
one of the big things that people always leave out is that we're so diverse, especially in the bigger cities, that every culture has a different perspective, and based on that, everyone makes a comment. Oh, should we have guns or should we not have guns?
Yeah, it depends on where you live.
It makes it more complicated.
When you live in a place like Chicago or New York, and there's just a high population of people, you might think you don't need a gun because the cops are right around the corner almost. At wherever you are, if you're living in Manhattan.
Did you, Chad? I don't know. Like I know I shared it. I don't know if I shared it in our group, but the Sam Harris podcast about guns. It was episode 19 where he talks about what's it, the gun problem or the gun puzzle? It's called?
Yeah, he just wrote like an essay on guns and he just reads it out loud. Basically,
it was a blog post that he wrote. And he pretty much, it's like almost 30-40 minute blog post that he reads. And it's very well done where he lays down his idea on what he thinks about guns, and he starts laying down facts and stats. And that adds a more nuance to even some of the stuff that I didn't consider. And when you listen to that, and the argument that he makes, like, even if we regulate guns, or if you regulate guns and say, let's take all assault rifles away, what are they, automatic weapons, right?
Yeah.
If you take all those away and you're left just with the semi-automatic weapon, which would be considered as a pistol, because semi-automatic is just one trigger, one bullet, I think, right?
Yeah.
So if you're left with a handgun, we're still going to have mass shootings going forward. So like regulating guns, yeah, we should do that. That's the first step, but that still won't solve the problem of any future mass shootings, because it's like a car accident. One of these things you can predict and prevent to a degree, I guess. So I guess even if we do regulate guns, which I think we should, there's no reason that, civilians should be walking around with weapons of war, And I always we talked about it before in the past in the podcast of the concept of what is it? Accelerate? How you pronounce it? Accelerate? Damn it.
Accelerationism?
Yeah, that theory. Is that a theory or is that just a concept?
I think it was more of a concept.
Yeah, so if you apply that to anything in life or systems, and you push a system to a degree, and then you see if it collapses, If it doesn't, then that means the system is working and it should stay there and it it should so you take everything, you just accelerate it to the highest point and see where that will take that product or that civilization or that system, and then if it collapses, then that means you should fix the system now. So like if we accelerate it and say, let's give guns to everyone without any limits. So what does that mean? Anyone can own a tank, rocket launchers, grenades. Like how much right to bear arms do you want to give people?
Do people have the choice to buy a rocket launcher right now?
No.
I mean, it was in the
There's some.
past. They banned it in state by state. I guess it depends on certain states. I'm sure there are certain states.
I think most gun laws, even I'm not sure about that. Can you own a rocket launcher? But I'm sure you could own some crazy shit. But for the most part, guns are about either sport or
hunting
or sport
or
that's what I meant.
defense yeah.
Or like defense. And
It's illegal.
Illegal,
Legal,
right?
Yeah.
So we could buy it, right? Because I've seen videos of people shooting rocket launchers at like targets, unless they were military people. But
yeah, I'm
no,
not
I don't.
sure. I've never heard of anybody actually owning a rocket launcher.
Wait, hold on. Automatic weapons aren't legal anymore, right? Well, sort of. Laws prohibit ordinary citizens from owning a fully automatic rifle made from after 1986.
I mean, it varies state by state, but that the last episode of It's Sunny in Philadelphia, did you watch it? They end up buying a rocket launcher. Did you see it?
He I think Mac buys it for Dennis.
Yeah, but it's his going away thing where they blow up his car and that's his way out of the show, because he leaves. Because he has his own
really?
he has his own new show.
Oh, he's done with the show now?
Yeah, that was the whole thing where he says, I'm leaving.
Oh, shit. I didn't know he's done with the show.
Yeah, he has a show on NBC where he's a biology teacher. I forgot the name of the show, but he's on there now.
Who, Mac?
No, what's his name?
Dennis.
Dennis, yeah.
Oh.
He left the show. So that's why like that they had that awkward moment at the end where he's like, I'm leaving. You're leaving? What does that mean? But I mean the fact that they had a rocket launcher on that show, I know that doesn't I have a feeling I could be wrong, but I've seen it where there are some states that allow it. I could be wrong.
I did say it was legal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, anyway, so like, my point being, like, if you accelerate it, like, how we agree that there are certain weapons that people should not have. No one should have like a B-2 bomber. Like Elon Musk cannot have a B-2 bomber just flying around, fucking around in the air. Like we agree that's not
B-2 bomber. Jeez.
like there's certain things that people shouldn't have as civilians because they're not trained for it. Or even if they are, you don't want to give them that much power where they lose their mind. They can cause someone's devastation in the community or city or country, whatever, right?
So obviously there are regulations, but I mean these super powerful things, because right now you can go all the way to the top and say the most powerful thing. Can you own it? Could you have
Can
like
I
a
own
base?
a nuke? Can I own a nuke? Can a civilian
That's
own
what
a
my whole
nuke?
build up
Oh, sorry.
ruined it.
That was my build up too. Like once you say when no one has the thing, then now so we can't. If Elon Musk tomorrow decides to create a nuclear bomb for whatever reason, not I hope that he doesn't. Can the government intervene? And the answer is yeah, they will, because they know that this person playing around with it is dangerous. It will cause a certain level of damage. So we agree there. So that same logic, then you start escalating it back down, and then like assault rifles, machine guns. There is no need for. Why do you want to make it? I mean, if you're trying to defend yourself, if you take a scenario where one has to defend themselves, it would be at a home where they're being robbed, right? As a burglar comes, breaks a window, you have a gun. You don't need a bazooka. You're not gonna blow your own house,
But
right?
if you were in that case, they're coming for your family, whatever simulation you want to run. Would you rather have a handgun or would you rather have an AR where you can spray someone and make sure you get them?
Right. I mean,
If
you would
you're-
assume
honestly,
that. Yeah. I mean, you would. If
would
we
you
could,
want something with 8 shots? What if you miss them all? It's possible.
But if they had if the laws were good enough where only even the bad guys had handguns and not assault
Even
rifles,
the bad guys.
so then they would make a fair fight, But yeah, of course, if you're going against assault rifle versus a pistol, the odds are against you.
But no one's really trying to ban all guns anyways. I mean, the whole
Don't there are some people that want to straight up ban guns, dude? Like
that's
there's
not
a-
even like realistic.
Yeah, but because those kids or people have not fully thought it through. And then Sam
Well,
here.
yeah, I feel like the kids are just kind of emotional, and of course they have all like rights to be, but it doesn't mean
It's
that they make a good
terrifying,
point.
man.
Yeah,
But yeah.
besides those kids, there's a big camp of people that want to completely ban guns 100%. You know, they use UK as an example. So there is a huge base that wants to remove guns.
So with gun regulations, I mean, everyone's talking about the two different sides, but like, what would you guys want to do with it? How would you want to regulate it? So take all automatic weapons out, stick to pistols, things like that.
So one, it should be incredible.
That'd be hard to get.
Hard to get, yeah. It should be like insanely hard to get. Like the fact that you know, it's so hard to get a driver license. That's so hard to do, but a gun license, anyone can just walk up and get a gun.
There was a video I saw on Facebook of a 14-year-old kid goes in to different stores, gets a case of beer, walks up to the register, puts it down, and it's like one of those hidden camera things, right? She's like, how old are you? 14? Oh, sorry, honey.
Yeah.
I can't sell this to you. Come back, visit me in 7 years, you know?
Yeah.
14 plus 7, 20. So, you know, and then he goes to another store, gets let me get a Marlboro Red, you know?
Right.
Sorry, you have to be 18. Then he goes into a gun shop.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, and he walks up and pays $1,500 for an AR-15, walks out.
But I mean, is that video legit? Like, how can a 14-year-old walk out with a gun?
That's what the
Unless
video
some
is.
people just made it up, you know.
No, there's video of it. But
I mean, but there are a lot of scenarios like that where it's just insanely
Depends
easy.
where you are. Some places guns are just easy to get because
Yeah.
guns are a part of the culture. It's like, hey man, I got a gun. Do you want to buy it? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like having a laptop or a computer.
Yeah, it's got to be like a responsibility, right? So like, I mean, the fact that we get our driver license, we're accepting that the reason it's hard to get it, and then you have to go like to a driver's ed class, or what are those facilities called that you go for training?
DMV.
Gun range?
No, damn. Well, I mean, a training school for car, whatever the word
Driving
is.
school.
Driving school. There we go.
There's one right here in the strip.
Simple as that. Driving school. So I mean, even as an adult, you would have to go. You have to take certain classes, and they make you take the test. You know, there's some sort of hours that you got to put in because you're accepting a responsibility when you get on the road. Not only you're behind the wheel and your life is at stake, but other people's life is at stake. So we make it. We test people before we give that responsibility to them. With guns, there's like as long as you're 18, anyone can sign up. There should be a training school or range.
So let me tell you something crazy. It just hit me as you were talking. I went to Atlanta with a couple of my friends a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we went to a gun range, right?
Yeah.
So all he did was check my ID and loaded up a handgun.
Right.
There's 8 to 10 people inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, there was no background check on me. What if I was some nut? You know what I mean? What if I had mental problems? You know, the things that are common in these shooters. And I'm walking into a gun range. I'm shooting whatever. I get okay. In my next round, I could just be like, all right,
turn around.
I'm gonna turn into a freaking crazy person. There's
no.
I think there's like been stories like that too, where people go to a gun range and they kill themselves too because they get handed a gun basically.
Oh God,
Are you
that's
serious?
so
I never
sad.
heard of that.
Yeah. Well, I actually saw it online.
Jesus.
Yeah, kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
You saw a video of someone doing that to themselves?
On like Reddit, yeah, they had like a video of like the guy doing it.
I mean, at least he was good enough not to point it at anyone else, but
But he could, which is pretty crazy.
because he's
Think
ending
about
his
it, yeah.
life. Like, what does he have to lose? You know,
Dude, if I even have a gun around me, I don't even like to have point it at like anybody. It could be unloaded,
It's
but it's just
terrifying.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so some people when they're playing with like with gun training, one of the things they
never play with loaded.
well,
and
yeah,
never
that,
point at anyone.
yeah,
ever.
or never point at something you won't shoot,
yeah,
or not that they're not willing to shoot.
yeah.
And after I don't know, it just freaks me out. People.
The way I've been looking at it now, because with that shooting, is just like, man, you just point at someone and you just close that consciousness. You just end it. You know, that's what it is. It just turns off. It just turns off consciousness. So you aim it at a specific body and boom, turn off. You're pulling the plugs, and it's crazy how much power that thing has. You know, life has to go through such a struggle to come here and survive. And there's things that are just easily just made available.
It's like machine just to kill. I mean, that's really what it is. A really efficient machine to do a lot of damage.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, like, we still need guns. I still don't believe that we need assault rifles. I think it should just be just pistols and handguns. And then once we have that, we'll still have our regular mass shootings. And then next,
It just won't be. The numbers would be significantly lower.
yeah,
And when he's trying to reload, tackle, done.
yeah.
I mean, it still sucks.
Sam Harris brings up a good point. Like, and the way after 9/11, our outlook on a hijacked airplane has changed, which was a good point. Like, people when the 9/11 happened and the hijackers were there and they had their whatever pocket knives that they had,
Box cutters.
people obeyed. People, they say we're under control. Anyone fights with us will get stabbed. So everyone stays back and lets them do their thing. And unfortunately, then the airplanes, they all died, right, as a result. But now if someone was to do that again, everybody already automatically knows we're dead. If we let them do what they're gonna do, we're automatically dead.
You should charge them.
Might as well everyone starts to storm them. At least maybe the first 20, 10, 5, 6 might die, but at least overall, your chances of survival are a lot greater. So like when these active shooters happen and they come into your room and they start picking people apart, instead of sitting apart and letting this guy do it, everyone's goal should be just to charge at that guy. First, there are going to be a few casualties, which there are going to be regardless, but it's going to get to a point at least where, people get a fighting chance. If, 10 people jump on him and 30, 40, and everyone just jumps on him and beats the shit out of him, more people will survive that way. But like even, going back and saying we agree we ban assault rifles and we're back down to handguns, the fact that it's still going to happen, we haven't really solved anything. So how do you really solve that problem? That's just a puzzle I guess no one has an answer to. It will be mental health.
Well, one of the things you're talking about is actually arming people at schools, which is, I'm kind of like 50-50 on that idea.
Kind
of depends.
I don't like that at all, man.
I don't like it either.
I don't like it, but that's why they go after the schools, because they know that it's like an unarmed place.
Okay, so that's true. But
And
there
it's
was
never
someone
bad
talking-
to have like defense training. I don't know why that's like a bad thing.
Go ahead.
They wanted to. I also read about something about putting vets in it, and someone on Facebook got mad. Remember I was telling you?
Yeah.
He's like that I was going after vets. I was just saying, there should definitely be. Yeah, I said yes, sure, that'd be great, but they would have to go through like a mental checkup. I mean, PTSD, a car backfires, and you're up in arms. You never know. You can think you're back at war and freak out, and you're a trained killer.
I mean, you don't want to be trigger happy either, right? You see a school, you see a student, and you feel like you have a hunch that he's doing something wrong, and he reaches in his backpack and he's pulling something out, and boom, you tell him to stop. He can't hear you. He has his headphones on, and you shoot him. Only to see that he was pulling out his books. Like, they're the same scenarios that we see that the cops do with the African American communities, where they feel like they're threatened, they just pull the trigger rather than see what the hell's going on. So there's when you arm teachers or put an armed guard, that's likely scenarios that would also happen. And if you arm teachers, and I was thinking about it too, but Marco Rubio brought this up in that town hall meeting that I had with CNN, where he makes a point where, or other people have made it too, that if a SWAT team comes in and they see a teacher with a gun, it just causes more confusion. Who's the shooter? Like, is this a guy? Is this a teacher walking around with a gun shooter? Like, then you take her down, or as Trump puts it, like, and it sounds horrible. He's like, if our teachers had shooters, I mean, if our teachers had guns, then the shooters will know that there'll be bullets flying back their way too, which sounds horrendous. That's saying that there's kids in the middle, there's teachers at point A and the shooters at point B, and there's both parties shooting at one another, and in between there's kids. There's
But why would there be kids in between?
In the hallway? I mean, you can look at scenario. If you look at the cafeteria scenario in Columbine, if the teacher's on the opposite side and the student comes from those doors and they're firing, as a teacher shooting, a kid can get up and, there's going to be crossfire. So it's weird.
Sorry, real quick, you brought up Columbine. I know like the original shooting that happened had like a cult following almost kind of effect because people revered him. So many mass shootings occurred after that Columbine shooting, and
it's messed up, right?
It was like an honor, like in his honor.
They set a certain chain of events that we can kind of.
I don't really remember the details, but I remember it being like the biggest thing at the time. It was
2 kids. I forgot we shouldn't talk about their names, but like it's 2 kids that entered they were mentally, obviously messed up in the head.
They were just losers too, I think.
Yeah, and they just decided to go on a suicide mission at their school, and then they entered in the cafeteria, started picking people
How many
apart.
people died, Chess?
15,
15 people. And yeah,
including them.
Yeah,
I think I remember reading the stories. They were just going around like they're actually targeting people. Like they had an idea who they wanted to kill.
yeah, for the most part,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
certain
they had an
teachers and
idea.
students,
Yeah.
and I think they ended up in the library, and that's where they took their lives. If I can remember
Fuck
correctly.
that. These guys are fucking crazy. But you
I mean,
know, I
it was
feel
a
like
crazy one too. They set up a bomb, a small firebomb in a field, set to explode at a certain time. So all the firefighters and emergency personnel go there.
Damn. Oh shit! Really?
While
To
they were-
divert that? Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I kind of
wow,
remember that.
That's kind of fucked up, actually. They actually had that planned. Well, I guess it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. And it's just scary, like as a parent, and I can only imagine, because I was hearing the parents talk to President Trump, and I was just thinking, putting myself in their shoe and just imagining my daughter's been wiped out from this planet. Like I can no longer have any more interactions with her, and it was.
I was thinking
brutal.
about Sandy Hook too. I was
Man,
like, God, that's
that has to be the roughest one.
because like he was just literally lining up kids and just like
6 and 7-year-olds.
6 and 7 year olds, and he would just I think they were all in one class. And I don't know what it was, but he would just like
And that
shoot
one.
them one by one. And I was like,
And
holy
can you see how many
shit.
people died in Sandy Hook? I
I
forgot.
think
It
it's
was
22 kids
yeah,
or something like
some
that.
ridiculous amount. It's like Jesus,
Like
man.
Sandy Hook or was like
like kids, like
28.
yeah, it was worse. So like, I thought it was closer to 30. That's what I remember. What's fucked up is that these kids don't even know what's happening. They don't even know they're so young and naive. They wouldn't even know where they have to run.
So there's also
You
one
know?
more shooting that didn't have any automatic rifles. The guy had 2 pistols. Virginia
club?
Tech.
Oh,
Yeah, check how many people died there. In fact, my friend
That was the
lived-
highest one, I think, 35.
I think my friend lived on the floor with him.
Oh
What?
shit, really?
Yeah, this guy I played Counter-Strike with.
Yeah.
He I still talk to him. He was actually on the same floor.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
Small
I saw him
world.
before. Yeah,
it was a
35. I think
33.
33. Okay.
yeah. Virginia Tech was pretty crazy.
That was
too.
the highest
body count.
Body count in yeah, mass shooting until the Vegas one.
Yeah,
happened,
these
I
are
think.
real human people. Even saying numbers sometimes is weird, but I mean, like, I remember I was playing basketball the other day, and we played a private gym, and I was like, huh, never thought about this before, but somebody could just come in here and shoot shoot the whole
Yeah,
place up.
That's
And I was like, where the
that's
fuck would I go? I never even thought about that before.
That's every scenario, right? Like everyone has their in the back of their mind that people are mentally ill. Probably there's more people thinking about doing it now just to be on the news or be part of the news or
Well, one of the things that they said is the problem with the media is that they keep
mentioning the names.
yeah, mentioning the guy's name, and I think psychologists have been telling, basically, I don't know about the media, but they've been talking about this. That one of the things that makes people want to do this,
It's glory.
glory or the notoriety,
Yeah.
and that we should stop mentioning the name. But I
Yeah.
remember I was watching the news and they were talking about his name. I was like, damn,
Yeah, which is
you
weird.
think they would know better?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I feel like a lot of news channels on YouTube have taken a better stand on that.
Oh, really?
All the people that I follow don't mention his name or show his image, whereas in CNN or Fox News and whatever, they for their political agenda would use it, right? They would want to show if it's a black guy or Mexican guy or Muslim guy. Depending on their agenda. But I guess we should make it a law that we shouldn't glorify them.
The thing is that you want to be careful with how you make laws against the media, because that's kind of like
That's also true, yeah. But they should
freedom
take
of
the
speech.
ownership on themselves, right?
Exactly. It's like kind of an obvious one, and
Why do
very
they
obvious.
do this, man? It's,
I mean-
it's so terrifying because I'm like looking at some of the stats and just like, dude, you're like looking in their eyes when you see
I-
their picture. It's
I
terrifying.
think the
like,
guy from Virginia Tech actually had a manifesto and everything.
yeah.
Like,
I
yeah,
think
like
the way I see it is they're just software that is corrupt and it's been like it just they're not there as they're not normal, obviously, right? That's where they're doing it. There's something part of their brains they're not mentally there. So it sucks, they suffer from whatever illness or depression that gets them to a point where they don't value their life or their actions of taking other lives. It's just their way out to end their misery. Their pain and their suffering is to a degree that they just want to see other people suffer on their way out, which is just fucked up. just thinking about it is incredibly hard. So I guess I don't know. So this is where it gets scary now, right? So we should as a society be seeing. You can tell which kid's gonna be like that. There are kids that hint certain signs at an early age that they might be a trouble or a menace to society. The problem with that is once everyone starts saying, "Oh, hey, this guy is this guy," then is this gonna? Where does it stop? There's gonna be a lot of innocent people that.
Well, I think that kids told this kid that he was not voted, but I think people used to say,
he's gonna be the one that shoots his place up.
It's kind of fucked up because those kids were like onto something, but the fact that they said it and it happened, and why are they even saying that shit to somebody?
Yeah, so this kid was way too extreme. He posted Snapchats or whatever social media he was on with guns and
this latest guy.
Yeah.
As much as I don't want his name to be out there, I really want to learn more about him because I guess that's the only way you could learn about what makes people like that or what are the signs. But even that's kind of like a slippery slope.
From what I was reading, it was a lot of bullying and things like that also led to some of these incidents.
But what Sam Harris was saying was like once we give the people the power to say this guy's crazy, he's going to be the future, then you're going to get a lot of people just pointing fingers at a lot of people that they don't like either.
And it's also like, how far do you want to go to solve this problem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you want to take away our freedoms?
Yeah.
Do you want to take away, do you want to, give the government more power?
Yeah.
Like, how bad do you want to solve this problem?
So this is where stats come in, and they like I mean, I encourage everyone to again listen to Sam Harris's podcast. He explains it a lot better than that. I'm gonna try to do it. It's episode 19 on this podcast. But anyway, he starts listing down some facts or stats, if you will, and some of them are like if we are trying to prevent life from this is a casualty, right? And people die, and we're trying to prevent it from happening. So then we're going to take actions to either regulate it in terms of gun control or other measures. But the idea at the end of the day, regardless of how brutal it was, is to regulate it or to prevent deaths. So then he starts listing a bunch of other people. So he says like from what I think was 1950 or 1970, there's been 80. Well, at that time he wrote it in 2016, 2015. Was 70 mass shooting, I think, around there number, but let's just say around 80 now, and there's roughly 700+ people that have died in these mass shootings. So it's over a range of 50 years, and then about 700+ or 800 deaths that have resulted from it. But each year we have like 30+ thousand people dying from car accidents. That could be prevent. We don't organize in such a group manner to prevent that from happening.
This is more of the fear of that it could happen to anybody at any time. Even though all those other things are really important, I think one of the examples you gave is how people text and drive all the time.
Yeah,
which is way more dangerous in the in the like immediate sense. And I met some very smart people who you would think would be. More like responsible about these kinds of things, but they're not. They're like texting and driving.
Yeah,
they might have 3 people in the car. They might hit a car with 3 other people.
Yeah,
and you never know. But the fear response is kind of crazy with guns, and it just maybe it's also the school part and the kids. If you really think about it,
young lives being taken in a tragic way.
Yeah.
But another thing, the last one that I want to say that he pointed out was there's 100,000 people that die from doctors not being fully clean in terms of washing their hands before surgery. So like in terms of there's more, I mean, those are tragic deaths too, right? They're just more localized to individual families where this becomes like a community thing. And it is still towards individual families, but it becomes a more community-based fear. So the response becomes, the stage is set a lot higher than the small individual deaths. But at the end of the day, one is an accident, and the other is an assault. So I don't know, like in comparison, it just to show that the idea at the end of the day is to prevent death. And then there was, I mean, to your point, there was one truck driver that was driving. I don't know if you saw that video where he was texting and there was a bunch of people that were stopped and were trying to exit on the lane. He just rams them all There's like a
Yeah, is that the video that we shared like in the group one time?
yeah, a
know
while
the-
ago. That was terrifying, dude. Like
Yeah, like
a
where
f-
people are stopped on the side and the
Yeah.
truck tries to go past the one
no,
car.
that was a different one.
Oh,
Yeah, but this is like a semi truck. This one was in America where they were all just they slowed down to exit the ramp. He was texting, and then someone had like a rear dash camera, and they just show this truck just starts. He plows over. His cars keep going, and all the cars are just flying to the left and right. And there was like a kid that was less than a year old. He died in that accident. Quite a few people died just because one guy was texting and driving a semi truck. You know,
God damn.
there's innocent people die all the time, and it's tragic. But I guess we all don't want to go out that way where you're stuck in a. I mean, you're I don't know if you want to talk about it, Shaz. Your fiance went through that exercise of the thing that happened down here.
Sorry?
Remember, it was a false alarm, but they.
Oh yeah, dude, that was so scary. So yeah, obviously from these shootings, a fear sprouts. Like even just talking about it, I tend to look over my left shoulder a little bit more often every time I see lights. But so she works at an office building, right?
Right.
And she's actually in charge of like the building. She takes care of the tenants, things like that. And I guess someone raised an alarm. Some kind of security system went off, and that there's a shooter.
Right.
911. It's called cops and all that stuff. And she just gives me a call, not knowing what's going on, and then there's a shooter loose in the building, calling me. It's just
Yeah, I remember.
freaking out, just like. Like her heart rate obviously was up, like just her talking, she seemed really under distress, rightfully. And she's just telling me, yeah, there's a shooter loose, I gotta go. And you just hear people panicking in the background. And I'm on my way to work, 45 minutes away. I did like an illegal U-turn, and I'm just like jetting for it.
Yeah, I remember you were
Yeah.
texting us, and like I remember when I was working, I stopped working. I'm like, holy shit! Like we're I mean, our phones connect us not our brains together, right? Like through radio signals and whatnot. As you were texting us and she was texting you, there was a signal from her brain coming to yours and to us, and that relay of message of I don't know. I just remember being I kind of was connected to her, but I wasn't fully there, and like we're getting a partial inside story of a scenario happening. It was just so terrifying. Just even imagine to picture that in my own workplace. If someone active shooter comes, like what do we do? Like you're so helpless, and then you're just thinking about the future. You just want to get out of here.
Is this problem even solvable, man? I mean, it is. Like rigorous studying of the mind. Making sure, his mental health is like. What is a good mental health, though?
I mean, we could, I guess, come up with some sort of tests or some sort of things that we test people regularly.
Well, I've been
at
really
least-
angry before, but I've never wanted to shoot anybody.
Yeah, I guess the answer, not
Yes.
the answer, but I mean, if you're gonna get
So,
a
it's just-
gun, you should go through a mental screen or something.
Maybe if they have like a DUI, or if they've gotten like battery assault charges, they shouldn't.
Dude,
be
I
able-
bet, but those aren't even the signs. If somebody has a DUI, I bet they're way more normal than these kids.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Because they're actually normal people who were out drinking with friends, and they did something stupid and wrong, obviously, but I bet they're very
Yeah.
normal people. And that's kind of worry. What's going to happen with these background checks? It's going to be like people that did like smoke weed before.
They won't get it.
Yeah, they won't get a gun, but they're not mentally unfit.
Yeah, I mean,
It should be like if you're on a prescription, medicine. Maybe I think that would be a good sign because.
yeah, if you need pills to be normal, then if you run out of pills, and what does that
But even
happen?
then, I just think that it's a really hard problem to solve unless you were
It's tough.
predicting crimes and
A
even
lot of what ifs.
But but I think the signs were there for this guy, so that's the only weird part that the FBI didn't investigate or they didn't go look into it.
So I mean, now look at the Vegas shooter. Like there was no signs for that guy, so there's no way to catch him, right?
Yeah, he was from a crazy family, but even then, you can't just go after
But
families.
he
that
was
are
a
weird.
millionaire.
He was.
Yeah, he was a millionaire.
I didn't know that part.
He was rich. He was not rich, but he was a millionaire. But what's crazy, I guess, no one should be. But he owned like 30 guns. Like, why does one person need 30 guns? That should be a sign. Like, everyone should be limited.
I know I know someone that's pretty goddamn normal, and he has like 10
Sure,
guns.
sure. I mean, there's millions of law-abiding citizens are completely normal.
Because for them,
that-
like collecting guns is like
Collecting
collecting
cars.
Pokemon cards.
or cars.
Yeah,
you know,
they're just really into it. You know,
just yes.
they're not trying to shoot anybody else, but they just want to own guns so they can
Yeah,
go shoot
I mean
them.
it's a gun culture, right? But I mean our culture in America is kind of weird in a sense too, right? Where this is, I mean, because now like a lot of politicians want to blame video games or like violent movies, music, like hip hop and stuff like that. But I was talking to a coworker, and I was telling him like in Japan, they have a really big gaming crowd, and their games or style of games are a lot violent, or if not just as violent as ours. Zero mass shootings. You look in Europe, they play the same games that we play here. I mean, with few exceptions, certain games are
I really
banned.
don't think the video games are the problem. I mean, I also think that people who play video games can't say they're like art does affect the mind. I don't think it makes you a mass shooter, but it does affect the mind. But it might even help because you get that frustration out that you would.
Yeah, so a lot of people say you get it out of there than where they're taking it out in the actual
in the virtual
place.
world.
And then people that do complain, what pisses me off, the people that do complain about violent video games or kids are playing it. Well, one, it's supposed to be 18 and up or 21 and up. So the fact that your parents are buying that for you but not buying porn for you, it shows.
Like maybe the problem is not some like macro, or maybe the answer is not a macro thing, but it's probably like a micro thing, like better parenting.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's
better parent, being a better uncle, being a better aunt.
I think I think
those kinds of things are probably way more important because these people probably would have been different if not for their.
Because we are social creatures, right? Once we become isolated, and once you see an individual that's isolated doesn't receive enough love or the right love, those are the people that are in so much pain.
It's also just a really hard society to live in my opinion, nowadays, because everyone's information is so out there. And when you're looking at other people's stuff, I feel like people tend to get more depressed and stuff because they think they don't have something that somebody else does. Or
you're talking about like Facebook highlights, right? Like looking at
social media. So that's what I was starting off with earlier. Like somebody put it pretty like interesting. Like nowadays it's all about like people are kind of like rebelling against technology, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't be on your phone as much, or I turn off my notifications, or I try really hard to stay away from my phone for a certain period of time. So a lot of people are saying that guy from Facebook that we were watching.
He was a cool guy.
And then also Sean Parker, the guy that helped Facebook and also started Napster. He's also going around saying that Facebook is ruining the world and shit.
But they're connecting us, but at the same time we're giving up a lot of shit for it, right?
But then like somebody else put it in like a different way. It's like maybe they're not actually doing anything to us. Maybe they're just exposing who we are.
I think that's probably more true than the other way.
They're like, it's like literally, he's like, dude, you know how people talk about you go on somebody's Instagram or social media and it's all like a highlight reel?
Yeah.
He was talking about, by the way, when I say he, I'm talking about Gary Vaynerchuk actually, because I was watching him. Well, he's also really embedded in technology. But the one thing that he was saying, he's
pretty motivational, isn't he?
Yeah, he's motivational, but he's not really a motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. But like, anyways, the one thing that like he was saying is that it's just exposing us. And even when you look at somebody's Instagram account and you're on their highlight reel, he's like, we were always like that. He's like, when you go out into the world, you talk to a friend, you only talk about the good stuff that's happening in your life for the most part.
Yeah.
If you meet somebody like over a beer, you're talking about the amazing things that are happening in your life for the most part.
Yeah.
So we were always kind of like that.
That's a good point. Yeah, this is just a different tool.
When you go out, you try to look good, you try to dress good. You aren't trying to show yourself in a bad way ever.
Yeah.
So that's who we kind of are. He was saying, and I kind of like that point. It's very.
No, it's a really good point. It makes a lot of sense to me. The fact that we're all social creatures, that we
always show our best side.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Where don't you? I'm thinking. We're constantly marketing.
But there's a lot of it now, so that's why the extremes are. People
it's being accelerated to that point.
Yeah, I just think that it's a really hard society. Not like hard in the old, actually hard was the old days where you could fucking barely get food to eat, or there's like a famine going on, or there's some geopolitics that's like affecting your life.
I mean, I just see if more of these continue to happen, it's going to get to a point where we are going to have to give up, start giving our freedom, and then it's going to get to a point where people are going to start turning on people. Okay, this guy looks crazy on Facebook. I'm going to call the FBI report. Husband shake, or he said something. I have that feeling. That the instincts are going off. But this guy's completely innocent, going about his day. Then we'll just start winding up people.
Well, eventually there's going to be technology that can predict,
screen you.
Yeah, predict that these kinds of things happening. It's going to be like that one Tom Cruise movie
or Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, Blade Runner, yeah. Because eventually they're going to have the technology that predicts who's going to be like what.
Yeah,
or who might become like let's say me and you have a 5% chance, but there's a guy that they know has 25% chance.
Yeah,
now it's not that crazy, but still more times than the average.
It's gonna happen because I don't know if you watched that lecture. Yuval Harari was a guest speaker at I forgot what.
Yeah. He was talking about he was talking about how the next thing is data. Before it was land. And now the next thing is
so
data.
He gave this big speech at some conference. I forgot. It was somewhere in Europe. It has to do with businesses. I forgot what element of the business that he was speaking towards. But anyway, his whole thing was like to your point, the biggest thing back in the day was land, but now is data. Whoever has the most data gets all the money in the world. The reason Facebook is worth 70+ billion is because they have over 1 billion users, and there was within that billion.
I think they have 2 billion now or something. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 billion sounds right. They have 2 billion users that they have enough data. They have data on everyone who clicks on what, goes where, and that data is worth money to people that want to market directly. They can find their niche in a needle in a haystack, so you can come up with a budget and say, I want this ad to go to people within 21 to 30, male, likes X, Y, and Z. And boom, it comes on their Facebook feed. So it's like instant direct marketing, which is beautiful, rather than just putting on a TV at a game of Super Bowl and you get a hit or miss. You get your target audience, but you get your more money's worth with Facebook and these crazy algorithms. So what he was talking about, the way we're headed is it's just a matter of time when someone solves the algorithm of our consciousness and figures it out. And once they do, they will be in your head. They will know what you're deciding before you decide, what you want to buy, what you're thinking.
And what's gonna they already have a lot of research that really, like, people think that this is the future, but there's already studies that have happened the last 50 years. So I forgot the name of the book. I think it's called Thinking Fast and Slow. I think I was telling you guys about this book.
Right.
One of the things they talk about in the book is how they can prime your brain by just telling you a piece of information. So one example, and the book goes through some really cool examples. But one of the things they were talking about is like there were these kids in like a study group, right? So they just mentioned so they talked to the kids about like a random topic, right? Mm-hmm. And I think whatever the topic was, they were done, and then they would move, right?
Right.
They would just move and they would get out of the room. Then they talked to them about a topic about old people, right? So after listening to that topic, the kids started moving just a little slower, just like old people do.
The hell?
Yeah. So there's examples of this where they can actually prime your brain already to act and think subconsciously in ways that you don't even expect.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool examples in the book about things you read.
It's like creating habits in you in terms of if it comes to like washing dishes, they're putting colors in your head that when you go, you see their products and how bright.
Yeah, it's actually even just beyond that, because they kind of make your brain seem like this kind of stuff's been out there for a while, but I'm just saying that the data is going to change it, but they've already have established how to like kind of
manipulate the brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
not that new. I mean, marketing uses it. Advertising is big for it.
I mean, we all use it, right? When we're trying to pick up a girl or meet a guy, whatever, we all are marketing ourselves. So when it could be a person that you meet all the time, so you dress a certain way, smell a certain way, so you're trying to remind them of you all the time. We all market individually, and it extends out to companies, government, ideas. We're all trying to manipulate others' ideas because
But it's just
we all
crazy.
assume.
All they did is they just start talking about old people, and just because of that, the control subject started moving slower.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I would like to read that.
So like the associations that your
How
brain
recent
makes.
is the study? In the 70s or 60s, or is
The
this
book is pretty new, but the research is like the last 30, 40 years.
interesting? But yeah, it's. I mean, we're gonna get to a point when this brain algorithm is solved, and then you can be plugged into a system. To your point, like maybe that will solve gun control. Like you can screen someone and you'll know, but then you'll be seeing into the future, or you'll just be seeing into their habits.
I don't know. I really think that the gun control probably just starts with like the fabric of our culture. It's kind of all fucked up, anyways. I think probably gonna start from the micro, and then probably should be just harder to get a gun. I don't know about putting. And then the other thing is you might have more schools with guards, with armed guards.
What was the
Wasn't the armed guard like? Didn't he walk away or something for like
That was-
10 minutes?
I think there was a cop who
There was a
didn't go
cop.
in.
Yeah, there was a cop that was the first to respond while the shooting was still happening, but he just waited outside. He did not go inside.
That's not really necessarily a bad thing. Obviously it's terrible, but
He
my
seems
point
like
is
a coward, right? All right.
yeah,
so-
but maybe he was following protocol.
no, he just didn't go inside. I mean, the protocol will
Yeah.
be to go
That's
look
fucked up.
and
Yeah,
assess the
that's fucked up.
situation.
At the end of the day, it's your
Your-
job, and you fucked up. That's
Yeah.
really all there is to
Your
it.
job is to go in there and assess the situation that you've been called for, and you sit in the car. You know what's happening. You sit in the car. So what I think I was telling you, like, Trump called him out on it. Like, you know, there was a police responder. He didn't go in. What a coward! Blah blah blah. Innocent kids died. And this guy, he has the balls to talk shit about other people when he skipped the draft himself. You know, like one coward to another. Like
Yeah,
this
Trump's
guy.
definitely a coward. There's no way he was.
Did you watch that documentary yet?
Yeah, I did. I found.
What do you think?
I thought it was really good. I thought actually the documentary it didn't talk about the Russian connections that you were talking about as much.
I mean, it
It,
shows
it barely touched on that. It was more about his
ego.
about Trump University, how he built himself up, how he lost so much money, and how he basically
Yeah.
screwed people over.
Yeah.
And this was nothing controversial either. I think this is pretty like established. I
yeah.
just really like listening to all of his old interviews.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Really,
like,
really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Well, every time I used to see the Russian connection, I know. So anyway, sorry. The backstory is a documentary, a 6-episode series, on Netflix called Dirty Money, I think.
Yeah, Money or Dirty Money or something.
Dirty Money. It's new. Came out like a month or two ago. And they talk about. I think the first episode has to do with Volkswagen with their whole emissions thing, how that was a scam, and they didn't report it. Blah blah blah. But the last episode is on Trump. Highly recommend it because it gives you a good insight onto who Trump really is as a person.
Yeah,
And-
it's also about how he built himself up, like how he actually became who he is.
Yeah,
And you know how he
he's
says
a narcissist. You see that from day one. Like he's money driven. He just wants to be in the media and in the news. So he always did things. One of the points I liked that was like this guy who just recently lost a business. He's always available to do. He's a billionaire, but he's always available to talk to people, like for news and stuff like that. Any reporter, because he was trying to get his fucking name out there. So I mean, he if he was really a billionaire, he was busy. He wouldn't be doing that shit. You know, you had real shit to do.
Yeah, he really did a good job of
Branding.
branding
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah,
And that's when that's one of the things they talk about in the documentary. That's when branding wasn't even a thing.
yeah. So I mean, hats off to him that he knew. I mean, it worked,
But
right?
It's
It worked.
crazy that he's the president of the United States, especially
But-
when you watch it. Because the cool thing about that is they show people that were on like they were his inside guys.
Yeah, that were worked for
yeah,
him.
that worked for him.
And they show how crazy he was.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, this guy's. I mean, he was our boss, but he's fucking nuts.
Yeah. So with the
How
Russian,
so though?
that he was just he didn't know jack for shit. So his head was what's that thing? Head over water.
Covered in water.
I forgot that saying. But when he opened up his first casino in Atlanta, he hired like 3 people that were in operations they knew how to run a casino. So it was, I think, a year or two. He was newly into casino business. He never done it in his life. So he doesn't know how to run a business, but he hires the people that know how to run it. And his ego was so big that he jumped over their head and he wanted to open up the biggest casino in the world. Cost $1 billion. He had no idea how to run it, and he took charge. and everything went downhill. And then he went. That's where his bankruptcies came from. And after that,
$1 billion
casino that he opened, it was called the Taj Mahal. I'm sure.
I mean, the banks loaned him the money because they thought he was good for it, and it kind of makes sense too. If you're the banks, you're like, all right, this guy's good for it. He'll.
Yeah, but he lied to them.
Oh yeah, with the junk bonds and stuff. Yeah,
he deceived them of getting a loan, and it got approved. But the Russian connection to me was that when his things went bankrupt, no banks would offer him any more loans, and he's still this narcissist that calls himself a billionaire that doesn't have $1 billion. So he started leasing out his hotel names, or on buildings and whatnot. And it got to a point where his name was going downhill. So he started doing it with just about anyone that offered it, because he was so desperate for money that he started doing it with people that had ties to the Russia. He opened up a hotel. I don't even know how to pronounce that place, but it's like on that first hotel they opened up in Europe, or damn, where is it? Shit, it starts with A. You remember?
No.
It was some random place in Europe that had ties to. It was connected to Russia. There was a bunch of Russian mafia. It was all mafia money.
I think it was Algeria.
That's a news outlet, no? Or is that a place?
No,
That's
Algeria.
Oh, think about that. Something like that. Yeah, it started with A, but it was some weird place. Like, why is Trump opening a hotel in a weird ass place? You know, like, and they show that the person that funded that whole hotel and used the name, he was a mafia member and stuff like that. So I think that's where he got connected, and something happened where it makes this Russian scandal seem likely that he got in bed with the wrong people for doing business. And they probably do have some shit on him that he's fucking afraid of. And then, you know, he's ever since he's ran for president, he's never said a single bad thing about Russia or Putin. Not once.
Yeah.
That is bizarre as shit. I mean, everyone knows that Putin is crazy, that he gets people killed. Anyone that wants to run against him dies, disappears, gets thrown off the roof.
Really?
We know, yeah. Anyone that runs against him gets killed. So people don't even run. So he just stays in power, and it's just him and his. It's just a bunch of oligarchs. Oligarchs are just a bunch of. It's not one person running the government. It's one person and his team. So you have a team of 6-8 people that have pledged their allegiance to him, and they stay there, and it's all corruption. It's a play-to-pay system, and you know, there's no true freedom. It's a fake democracy. Everything's rigged. Everyone goes votes, but it's all even you know, like let's say, you know, Chaz won, but they're just gonna still claim that Putin won. You know, it's a messed up place. But going back to that documentary, and I encourage everyone to watch it, because it kind of gives you. We all know Trump is crazy and a narcissist, and it gives you a more insight of how he became, not how he's always been like that, I guess, which is kind of crazy.
I want to see this.
Yeah, it's episode 6. It's only an hour long. It's pretty well done. But it makes you feel less safe knowing that he's your president too. Like, this guy doesn't know jack shit, is running the country, you know. But one thing, since he's not a pure politician, the fact that he sat in a round table with the parents that had the shooting, I think like he's the type of person that does act on feelings and emotions. You know, like he probably felt their pain, so he's already to his credit, he has already tweeted out, if I'm not wrong, one to ban the bum stock, but I feel like it's just putting a cookie in a jar. Like, you know, it's just something just to say, oh, I'm doing something. But then he went as far as saying that we need tougher gun control.
Yeah,
so,
at least he seems to be on the right side of the issue, depending on, and he's not afraid to upset his base. But he also probably feels that his base, like some members of his base, agree with him.
Yeah, I mean this is the one where kids are. So there's gonna be a big protest on March 24th where all the high school students are gonna walk out, and and I'm sure these kids are talking to their parents what their views are on guns, and if they believe.
Yeah, the conversation has started.
Yeah, so it's a lot of these parents that were. So one, it's an election year, which is important. Because it's an election year, this year is always known as a bipartisan year, where both sides will agree and get shit done. Because if they are not getting shit done, if they're not putting an image of getting shit done, then they know they won't get reelected. So it's just a show they put on for the people. So because of that, a lot of these kids are gonna force a lot of their parents to go call they're gonna call the politicians themselves and encourage their parents to do the same thing. If they cannot vote, they're gonna make sure their parents don't vote for it. So I think we're gonna see huge upswings of anyone that it's kind of. I have a feeling it might become like a Me Too movement. Anyone that supposed to supports the NRA or supports owning a gun will get taken down. You know, it'll come out strong and it will die down a little bit. Not die down, but it'll come down where it'll level off. Where people say, "Hey, we still need guns." You know, like you can completely ban them and shit. But we'll see.
Yeah, I really don't think that that's even like a possibility in like
But
America.
people are crazy enough where they do, man. Like they don't. You don't. I don't know if you've been following it a lot or reading a bunch of comments online. There are people that believe that guns should be completely out.
I bet they've never used a gun before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I
Like,
mean,
there's like a lot of passionate people about the gun issue that have probably never used one before,
yeah.
or even like held one.
I've held one, but I never fired one. I fired a BB gun, but that's nothing in comparison.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I was a pro. I was
Anti-gun.
anti-gun, but now I'm pro-gun.
Yeah, I'm pretty much neutral on guns, but I
Yeah.
feel like some people just like it. Like they feel safe and protected, and in some ways, I think they're right. You shouldn't always like America's a very safe place, and we live in a very safe world.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's obviously a certain percentage of crazy in our society
That we accept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always gonna be that amount of, and how people deal with that is up to them. Some people want the cops to deal with that for them when it happens. Some
Right.
people want to deal with it themselves if it happens. They're not relying on the cops.
Yeah. So let's say we take all the guns away. Now gun ownership is very low when you're in the city, but once you go out into the suburbs, it goes. I think Sam Harris was saying around like 30% when you're in the suburbs, the gun ownership goes up.
Yeah, the further
then-
you go out from the main area.
Yes, and then when you go onto the farmland area, it goes to like 60-70%
Yeah.
gun ownership. And the reason being is if you're out of the past the suburbs deep into the heart of the state or away from the state, you're more isolated. There's not enough people.
Yeah, dude, you might not have like a fucking police station until like within a 15-minute range.
Yeah, so if you call the cops and then
No one's coming right away, dude. You're
Yeah,
gonna be
so
dead
you-
by the time the
so-
cops get there.
so you're gonna be a target for
Though
people.
in some ways you're also more safe because there's less people to go after you, I guess. But I mean,
Yeah, but people that were smart enough and then they know there's no
especially
gun.
like the poor people in those towns have it way worse than they do in big metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
Like if you're poor in like a rural town, you don't have as much support or government aid or just programs that you could,
Right. Whereas when you're in the city, the cops are just one quick call away, so everyone feels like
Yeah.
you can get away with.
If you're
okay,
a
I don't-
bum, even there's like shelters here you could go to, and there's places that you could at least find.
Yeah, if you're a bum, even you can call.
Yeah,
a cop.
or you could just go like a restaurant or something, maybe, or go sit in like a library, something. There's a lot
Yeah.
of public institutions that you could at least take advantage of somehow.
Yeah,
you're, like,
or there's
slick.
enough people around that you feel safe that someone will come to.
But
aid.
if you're like a bum in like a rural area, there's no public place, so you might rob somebody.
yeah,
You might try that. You might go into their house and try to take their shit.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's really the big difference between being in a city and being in like a rural area. And most people the news is made kind of for people that live in big cities,
right,
but that's not all of America.
right. I was giving some of these points to one of my coworkers, and he told me that I sound like the NRA. I'm like, God damn.
He's crazy. And that's what I really hate with talking with people on the left, because
Yeah.
they get so passionate because they feel like that's like the only way they can talk about it.
Yeah,
But there's like a rational side to both sides of the issue, whether you're left or right.
yeah.
There's rationality on both views.
Both
and
views,
the-
of course.
Yeah, people who are irrational are the people that can only see one side.
That's why
of
I'm
it.
like so lost. Like it's such a tough thing. Like I don't want guns, but then I see the need for guns. Like I'm like stuck in the middle. Then then you have to see
I
what's
feel like there's
feasible.
nothing wrong with wanting to protect yourself.
Yeah. So once you start,
Self-defense, not having it is kind of stupid in some ways. Like being so. First of all, the government is just like it's just an institution. You shouldn't put all of your trust in it either.
yeah,
They'll lie to you. They'll do shit to you too. In fact, that's proven.
yeah. What's important to realize is, if you think about it, we all want to live in a society that we have much freedom as possible. Government comes in place and we limit so we sacrifice some of our freedom in certain areas to establish a society where we can have the most freedom possible. Because without the government, or the law, there is no freedom. Because it'll be a shit show. It'll be The Walking Dead. It'll be survival of the fittest, dog eat dog world. No one will respect other people's freedom. So that's why you establish a republic. After a republic, you establish a government, and the government comes in, and we all give up certain freedom, which is one could be giving up your income for taxes to pay for certain things. So we already start giving our freedom away, but we shouldn't give so much away where the government gets the most, and then we lose majority of our freedom.
Yeah, and there's something really awesome about having it, even though there's obviously a cost to it, and there's something about having those freedoms that's really important.
Yeah, living in a free society, it's not an absolute free society, but living in a free society is important and critical, because that's the shit that lets everyone be,
Dude, if you live on like a main street, for example, and let's say there's like a big bus, if that bus were to take one wrong turn, it could just go into your fucking house and like destroy you.
Yeah,
there's so many random things that could happen to you. You'd only be so safe, but it was your choice to live there. You had the freedom to pay for it, and you wanted to live there, but you could.
I feel like it used to happen like at least once a year where a bus drives into a house, and that's luckily no one's. I mean, the last 2 times I saw it in the news, no one ever died because the homeowner was not there.
Yeah, they're probably, when it happens, there's probably nobody there.
Yeah, but there's a bus that drives into the living room. It's like literally.
Dude, I drove. Well, I didn't. I was in a car accident where we drove into like a fucking house. I was just in the passenger seat, but they got lucky that we didn't kill them. But
yeah, I remember you telling me that. It's terrifying.
Just think about it, like you're just.
Life is short, man.
Yeah,
life is short.
It's just like normal day. Eat like even right now. Oh, dude, I've actually have like a cousin. His life just got like he was just at Walgreens, just paying at the counter.
Yeah.
Actually, the Walgreens on Granville and Western, maybe. I think that's the one. Remember, it was in that plaza before.
Yeah.
So he's just like chilling, and bam, a truck drives through, and big accident. I mean, he survived, but it fucked up his knees really badly. Like I think
it hit him.
Yeah, it did. It did end up hitting him. It's like a random freak accident. He's in the hospital fighting for his life, and he was okay. He ended up he's fine now.
Yeah.
But he has. But the consequence of it is that he couldn't walk the same after that again.
I mean, as we're talking right now, there's families being affected. Someone is randomly dying, being taken away. Their life is getting taken away young, early from a freak accident. People's life. You wake up, and then your life is affected. I mean, I just know someone that went through it, and their story is just. I don't want to talk about it, but it's horrendous. You're with your family, and now an accident happens, and your loved one's gone, and your life is shattered. It's just that we just don't cope with that very well because we don't ever
anticipate it well. Remember we were talking about it the other day. We're like, man, this is kind of depressing. We were talking about my friend. We were talking about your story.
Yeah,
and we're just kind of like we looked at each other. Oh shit, Sad's gone. But like we looked at each other and we were like, damn, this is scary to talk about. It's not really fun to talk about.
But I feel it's important to talk about it because
I started researching on cancer a lot after that. I was like, wait, why am I scared of this knowledge? Like sometimes I don't even want to read about it because I'm like, like the information even scares you. Like somehow reading about it will increase your chances of getting it or something.
Yeah, it's the less you know, the more
Sometimes you want to say ignorant to it.
Yeah, that's the more aware you become. Sometimes the more it gets harder to live.
You worry about it.
Yeah, you're more subconsciously freaking out and panicking over things.
Stressing is not good.
Like at work, I've been strategizing all my outs for mass shootings, dude. Like, if this thing goes off, I just picture it. Like, if it goes off, what do I do? Lock the door. For me, I don't know if depending on how other people's offices are, I have ceiling tiles. So like I want to jump on my table, lock the door, and then because a shooter comes in, he starts spraying the door, you still get hit. So you want to be elevated as high as possible.
I would be on the side of the door. But if he comes through it, I would just tackle him. That's really all I can do.
Yeah, but I mean, at least if I can close my door, stand on my table.
Yeah, that's a really good.
Open the ceiling tile, and then there's pipes, and hang on to that. So even if he starts shooting at the door and shit, so he's at least my body won't be there in the middle.
Better start training your lats.
Oh, if he comes to the door, then my other plan is to put the ceiling tile back, and no one's there. You know, like once I get up.
Oh yeah. That's what I thought your plan was like originally. But I was like, why are you just hanging on there?
Yeah.
What kind of plan is this?
Dude, you're gonna die, bro.
Have you guys seen the Office episode where the fire happens and the Oscar just jumps up the ceiling tile?
And he comes down the other way.
And his feet are coming in random spots. You know, there's a cat up there. That'll be me.
Yeah, that plan sounds good. Probably be tough. But I'm
So-
sure people try it. I mean,
I told you guys about what happened to me in Pakistan, right?
No.
So this is the one time I went after being born there, actually. So it was back in '01 when things were really bad. You know, apparently things are better now, so that's good. I guess we were in some not the best spot in Karachi.
Right.
And I was visiting, you know, obviously being an American
Was a
back
local.
in Pakistan, and one of my cousins had a basketball hoop with no basketball. And I was like, hey, you know, where's the basketball? He's like, oh, you know, he had no idea. And I'm like, hey, you know, let's get uncle. And we all went to this like bazaar, basically, looking for a basketball. And we're like at the end of the transaction. We're just paying for it. And I see this guy running down saying in Urdu, like, close the doors. And it was literally like a movie scene. And basically what these stores were like, they're like garages.
Yeah,
you know,
they have
you
like
open
that
the
little
garage and
shutter door that opens up.
yeah, so like I'm like looking down the street, and the way the guy's running down the street saying close your door, close your doors, I see like shutters closing like doosh, 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 and he's like a little bit ahead of me. He's like, you know, just closing up behind him
Yeah.
because people are so like, I guess it's common or whatever. You know, obviously I had never dealt with anything like that, and when you're in a situation like that, this panic sets in, dude. It's so freaking bad. You know that. Everyone ran to the car except me. I ran into one of the stores, and the whoever owned it, I guess, closed the shutter. I didn't even realize it.
Right.
And then it's dark, and I hear gunshots,
Yeah.
and I was young, man. It's '01, so I was like 12, 13 maybe.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, my aunt was at the door, banging on the door, like, hey, return my kid. He literally opened it up like a crack, and I had to like roll under, and we quickly ran and got into the car. And the panic was so bad that my uncle, who's driving the car, literally reverses into the car behind him, like, douche, you know, to create
just-
space.
he's probably not
And
thinking.
you're driving, and then you're trying to get out, and you accelerate, boom, and he hits the car in the front, and he reverses out one more time,
Jesus.
and then we finally get out, and we just take off.
So someone
And-
was doing a robbery or something?
No, I guess it's something to do. It's like that political group that was like really, really bad.
Oh, they're going after one another, just
There's
causing.
yeah, they're just causing havoc.
Yeah.
You know, saying that you better listen to me, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
I turn around and I remember seeing like out of a movie scene, you know, like it was like the guy with like the face mask, and he had an AK-47. He blows the bus up like right
Jesus.
behind me, and I just remember it going up in flames as we were getting away.
God damn.
And so
You ever
I
told me that
guess
story before?
I haven't.
No, it's
I think,
first
yeah,
time.
I think you told me something about it, but then kind of
Yeah,
don't
That's
remember.
terrifying.
yeah. So the bus, apparently my aunt's car was pretty close to it, and like one of the guns shots went right like a couple inches above her head, and like went, I don't know how, something like that. And that if she didn't move the car, like her car would have blown up with the bus too or some shit. I don't know.
Jesus.
Apparently it was pretty crazy out there. I should talk to her about it again.
Man, like the odds. I'm just like this. One of the girls was talking about like in that Florida shooting, how the bullet grazed her shoulder and passed her and hit her best friend.
Wow.
Like it grazed. She got shot twice. And both of them were just grazes on her arm and her back, I think. And her friend was behind her, and she's the one who got hit. It's fucked up, man. Like imagine
So
your best
tough,
friend
man.
getting taken away. It's terrifying.
I don't like to think like that, honestly. Like,
Yeah, I just feel like, the future generation, like us, we invest more time with our kids. I mean, it all starts at home,
but if someone is just crazy, you could be a
Yeah,
great
so
parent.
as a parent, then you would get him mental help, get him.
I
into a
wonder how
facility.
true that is. I think you were doing some research on the Newtown guy or something on the on
Mhm.
Sandy Hook, right? I think you were doing some.
Yeah, that guy is super creepy looking.
So I saw your screen and it said the dad is like broken or something. He's a broken man.
The
yeah,
dad
he's
is broken.
brokenhearted, but apparently he lost connection with his son 2 years prior to him shooting.
Ah. What if you're like a good parent and you did everything right and that still happened?
I mean, so it's like if you're a good parent, yeah, it might still happen, but the percentages of that happening will be, you just
Yeah,
lower the
definitely.
percentages.
You
That's all it
definitely,
is. I
Are
think.
you saying all the parents of these shooters are bad parents? Or?
I mean, I've being a parent, I've seen a lot of bad parents, and I don't think I'm the best parent in the world either. But I mean, it's just showing your kids love, showing them, we're all are the same, showing them to love, respect one another. Like those proper etiquettes that should be normal. But there are a lot of bad parents that don't give a shit, that encourage violence amongst brothers and sisters, let them fight. They just don't. It's constantly yelling at one another. No one wants to listen. Some people aren't meant to be a parent; they just happen to be parents.
Yeah, I recently hung out with some kids that made me not want to be parents anymore.
Damn, dude.
It's like some kids are just so hard to deal with, and I feel bad for the parents, and probably their fault too. But
Yeah.
especially like when you have two boys that like fight all the time, and like
But I mean, it all starts from the beginning. If you don't set the right stage up for them, then one is genetically they might be aggressive, right? And then, because yeah, I guess the one genetically kids can be different, and then you have to use your strengths to make their weaknesses into strengths, and their strengths. And their
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not
The
saying it's
strengths
easy.
into
It's
their
just-
weaknesses.
I stopped right there.
like, wait, why would you do that?
Yeah, I was about to say it. I almost said it. And I realized what I was about to say.
Keeps reversing everything.
you gotta reverse engineer them, then let them grow.
Then you got to engineer the reverse that you just did.
Yeah, set them back 10 years. take all the starts from
I mean, most kids I see, I love. I mean, and I'm like, wow, their parents did a good job. But some kids you see, like, wow, they need a lot of discipline and training.
those parents themselves are not meant to be parents, dude. Like a lot of their ideologies.
Yeah,
are
but
kinda
most
stupid.
people try to be parents. They're like part of life, you know.
Yeah.
If they weren't, then they would be
So
seen as weird too.
So I guess as a society, we should be.
We're definitely already having less
I always
kids.
tell my brothers, don't ever bring a life into this world that you can afford, and that's a huge part of it too, right? Because if you are not financially ready to bring a life on board, it puts a burden on you, because now you're not making enough. Then your wife will get aggravated because we cannot buy things for our kids. Your kids will feel left out because he's not getting things that other people are getting. Then you come home, you just see that you're not providing. Your wife will take it out on you. You'll take it out on your wife. Your kid becomes a middle product that gets
Of all that anger and resentment.
Yeah. So then that just leads to how this kid will grow up. Might grow up the wrong path. More than likely, these are the kids that will have the bad upbringing and not see the world for what it is. I guess they'll see it in their eyes for what it is, but. So if you can't afford a life, don't bring it into this world, because it's gonna. I mean, it seems the right thing to do, bringing in life. Sometimes when these accident, not planned, not what's it called, planned,
Unplanned?
planned or unplanned, the pregnancies happen, right? So yeah, the unplanned ones, people will say, "Oh, it's a life. We got to bring it into it." For me, I don't know. That's a different topic to go into, but
I have no idea where you were about to go. I feel
to
like
abortion,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's a.
Oof. We'll come back to that one.
I'm not a fan of abortion, but I get it.
I mean, I think it's fine. If it's not conscious, it's fine. Just because it looks like. I mean, if you look at you and I, we're just body bags, and the main thing is our conscience. That's the thing that runs everything.
Yeah,
Don't
I
let
guess
this
I don't
body.
really like a problem with it. I just think that it's just so be frowned upon for some reason. I just think it shouldn't be encouraged.
It should be frowned upon because you should have known better. There's ways.
No,
Yeah, it's like responsibility. Not
but
just that.
condoms are not 100% proved. That the people do all the right things, and it still happens.
It's like
It's not 100% unless the girl, gets that thing done. I forgot what it's called. Where it completely.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's a
The
few
IV or
years,
something?
yeah, or they can completely, or like or the guy getting it done too,
Yeah.
Vasectomy or something.
Yeah,
No, there's that, but there's also like I forgot what it's called. I forgot what it's called, but there's like shots I don't know if
You
it's a
can
shot.
take, then
yeah,
it-
that like for like a year or two you can't get pregnant for example.
yeah, yeah. So there's still those are the things that you can do, but like condoms sometimes, I forgot what
Well,
percentage.
condoms are cool, but like for example, birth control and stuff like that, like you're putting pills in your body. I don't
Yeah.
know. I find that a little strange.
I mean, there are people that do it, and it still doesn't work out. So it's not. I don't. It's just. I don't know. It's to each his own, man. I don't think it should be frowned upon. I mean, like to my point earlier, if you can't bring a life into this world, then we're bringing more problem to the society than we should be bringing. We're forcing on people of doing things that they can't afford.
So what point are they conscious?
I mean, define conscious. Like if they're kicking, that's not conscious. They're just reacting more than. I think we talked about it before. But
But if they're born, then they're conscious for sure, right?
yeah, I guess when they're completely out, then I would say that's fucked.
So you're saying anytime they're in the belly, that's good enough.
No, not any time in the belly. I think like I mean, there's a certain I don't know the months, but
Yeah, I think they say after the second trimester, I think it's not allowed.
yeah.
So
They say babies display glimmers of consciousness and memory as early as 5 months old.
So I would say anything prior 5.
yeah, so second trimester is what
Yeah.
I mean, again, because remember, consciousness has to be developed. It's not just going to be there either. It's not just going to be like, bam, conscious. It's like developing as the baby is.
Yeah. But if
So-
one does not know it exists, it doesn't exist.
So should we kill mentally retarded people?
No, we should. We should.
So it's like valuing life. I don't know. I'm kind of on both sides of the topic, but I don't know. I just feel like there's some value in life itself, no matter how convenient it is for us. Not that. But that's only one part of it. I also just get that it's probably better to have abortions instead of having kids that are going to be raised improperly.
Yeah, it just puts a more burden on everyone, on the society. It just stresses the whole system out. It stretches it.
I don't know how much I buy that one because maybe it's like
Well,
you know what I mean. It's like every choice we make is
sorry,
about to happen.
I'm
It's like-
thinking. I'm thinking more on the
probably
poverty
on the
scale.
maybe
So,
yeah,
like-
maybe at parents if I put stress on them. I don't know about the
Yeah.
system, but our American system is built for kids. That's why people pop kids just to get money. So it's not like that stress either. But I guess on the parents it might. It's just a lot easier not to have a kid, to be real, in some ways. I mean, like
Yeah, for sure, man.
it's a lot of responsibility, and
less
especially if you don't
responsibility.
want it,
Yeah.
that's like responsibility plus you're not wanting it.
Yeah.
But if you want it, you're okay with the
So our
responsibility.
culture's got to change where we don't frown upon those that don't want
Yeah,
to
for
go
sure.
down that path.
Yeah. We should. And
I didn't say it's wrong. I just said it should be frowned upon, meaning like, so when something is frowned upon, you still might do it,
You
but
make
you're
a
gonna
face.
you kind of take the actions to make sure it doesn't even get to that point.
nah, I don't think it should be frowned upon. I think it's stupid.
I don't know. I don't get why.
I mean, there's people that have to do it for good reasons. So, like,
But again, I just use the words frowned upon.
yeah.
And
So
I
you're
just
saying
explain it.
so society should look down on them, right? Is that
No,
what you mean?
No, frowned upon meaning like it should not be encouraged at all. It should be like, hey man, if you get an abortion, all right, have you thought about it? Don't just do it as like a thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's,
So it's like,
sorry.
so you want to take the steps to like make sure people are just not doing it nonchalantly either. It's like a way out. Because I don't know. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it should be illegal or anything like
yeah,
that.
it shouldn't be like you're going to buy candy at a store. It should be some thought process to
I,
your
I,
point,
I
yeah.
also don't know the details of this because I've never had to get an abortion. But what are the effects on like the female's body?
I would assume because anytime it's an abortion, your body would have to flush everything out. So I'm sure it takes a
'Cause-
toll on their body.
Because you also have miscarriages, and that's not an abortion, but
yeah,
it's kind of
no,
like abortion.
It is
right?
like abortion
right?
to a degree. Yeah, I would assume. I don't know much.
Yeah,
but-
you're ending a life, but you're
Well,
not.
miscarriage
doing
is
it-
just like a normal part. A lot of people
yeah,
admit
you don't
like
decide to do
there's
it.
more miscarriages than people even have an idea of because no one
Yeah.
talks about that shit.
yeah, it's
You only learn
disclosed.
about it through as you get older, to family friends.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can take some sort of stats, and then you can only the ones that are reported. Then you can only estimate how many
Yeah.
from this are not reported. You know?
Because me and my friend were talking about this. He found out that before he was born,
Yeah.
his parents had a miscarriage.
Wow.
I've never even asked my parents that actually.
I'm scared too.
But like
Jesus.
that does kind of frame things in like a different way. But like for example, I have another friend whose parents didn't have a miscarriage, but they had the kid at 1 and the kid died at 1.
That's
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally had the kid, but then he died. So he did make it out, but then he died
Yeah.
right after.
It's been a depressing podcast.
Yeah. If it's midnight, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I want to take a picture of this.
But yeah, I guess I know we're on a little short break doing this podcast time to time when we can. Hopefully we'll get to our full we say it all the time, but we'll get to our full schedule sooner than later, hopefully. If you enjoy listening to our podcast, the best way you can support us is sharing it with others. Word of mouth is the best way for our podcast to get around. And if you do have some sort of feedback, you can definitely reach out to us in Facebook. Now we also got an Instagram page. We're starting a Twitter page. Finally, we're getting onto these social media websites, and we'll trying to get this show up and running. But Facebook would be the best way you can reach us at Mind High Podcast. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel as well. Subscribe and check out the videos. We also have posted all our podcast episodes on YouTube, so they're there for you guys as well. Thank you for joining us today. Was Shaz, Hasban, and I, Ali. And then we'll be with you soon.
Cheers.
Take it easy, guys.